It's a very good evening and welcome to Network. My name is Sphumelele Zondi. South African political parties have campaigned for the last time. We'll tell you about some of their online campaigns. Bloggers from around the world will be meeting in South Africa soon. That's a discussion we're going to have with South African tourism. USASA is paying us a visit to discuss their initiative of providing broadband to rural communities. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. It's newsnetwork at sabc.co.za on email. Let's start with your social media and technology news. It's about 3 days before the elections and political parties have been campaigning online.
Twitter, YouTube and Facebook have been abuzz with political campaigns leading to the elections. The May 7 elections have seen political parties actively using social media to reach their constituents. Following the controversial ban of their advert, the DA took to social media. Their Isafani advert gained momentum on YouTube. Tweet pics about events and rallies held at various venues also went viral. This tool has also been used as a political punching bag. Politicians have thrown punches at each other and their parties using social media. But this is not a new phenomenon. American President Barack Obama has used it to win his 2008 election. His Yes We Can campaign trended at the time.
ICASA says the new TV stations that have been granted licenses have 3 months to prove that they can launch. There are 5 companies that have been given pay TV license grants. If they fail to prove that they can launch, then they will not be issued with licenses.
The Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, ICASA, has granted 5 pay TV licenses. These are for individual commercial subscription broadcasting services. This process took 2 years and comes as the country is ready to embark on digital migration. The companies being considered for these licenses are Close T Broadcast Network Holdings, Siyaya, Kagiso TV, Mindset Media Enterprises, and Mobile TV. They now must submit plans for a set-top box and how these will be funded and distributed. They must also resubmit programming plans that show local content. These applicants have been given a period of 3 months to comply with the conditions. They will receive the licenses once they have met certain conditions set down by ICASA.
Telecoms giant Vodacom is upping its interest in its Tanzanian operations. It has bought the shares from Calvary Holdings owned by the country's richest man, Rostam Azizi. This now means that the South African company owns over 42% of Vodacom in Tanzania.
Vodacom has finally concluded its acquisition of an additional 7.2% more shares in Vodacom Tanzania. They bought these for 2.5 billion rands. This comes after entering into agreement with Calvary Holdings and its shareholders. Calvary Holdings is a private investment company wholly controlled by Rostam Azizi. They previously held a 35% stake in Vodacom Tanzania. The transaction will lead to the mobile network operator increasing its economic interest in Vodacom Tanzania from 65 to 82.2%. Vodacom has more than 10 million subscribers in Tanzania. They say the East African country is its most successful venture outside South Africa. In a press statement, the company says it has fulfilled all requirements as mandated by Tanzanian regulatory authorities.
Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has won the 2014 World Telecommunications and Information Society Award. The award is also shared by South Korea's President Park Geun-hye and the Mexican telecommunications tycoon Carlos Slim. The announcement was made by the International Telecommunications Union in the last week.
ITU says it's awarding President Paul Kagame with the World Telecommunication and Information Society Award because of his commitment to using ICT. They also say it's for his work in using broadband connectivity to achieve sustainable development in Rwanda. For years, the country has allocated an admirable 1.6% of its GDP to ICT. As a result, Rwanda is one of the fastest growing African countries in e-commerce, e-services, mobile technologies, and applications development. Since becoming president in the year 2000, President Kagame's government has increased mobile network coverage to 99% of the country. 4G LTE network is expected to increase penetration to at least 95% by the end of 2016. President Kagame would often get praise for being one of the most tweeting presidents in Africa, even though he stayed off social media since January this year. President Kagame will be handed the award at a presentation ceremony on May 16 in Geneva, Switzerland.
Young Egyptian developers have created a mobile phone application to help tackle the age-old problem of traffic. Beitu developers say they don't want their names to be known just yet, but their invention is gaining popularity with Egypt's motorists. Downtown Cairo, one can spend hours in the city's traffic jams. This is sometimes made worse by protest marches that have been a common occurrence in Alexandria and Cairo since 2010. Developers who want to remain anonymous have come up with Beitu Olak. It's a mobile phone application that updates road users with traffic situations here. Users are also allowed to report back conditions they see. It's a hit with motorists.
I was suffering every day from traffic jams. It took me 3 hours to get to work and another 3 hours to get back home. There was no choice for me but to set up the application Beitu Olak on my phone, and then I started to follow it up to avoid traffic jams and demonstrations or to take another road.
The app is a free download. It can be used on Android, iPhones, BlackBerry and Nokia.
As you know that we are suffering from the traffic problem for a long time, but Beitu Olak application is very helpful to determine the uncrowded roads and places. Also, it helps us to avoid the areas where demonstrations and mass crowds are being held in. I can see it very useful to find the easiest way.
The developers of Beitu Olak did not want to reveal how much they spent on the project, but it's clear that it's a welcome relief for many who would often spend hours in Egypt's messy traffic. Smiley faces have had an exciting cosmetic makeover. An African company has pitted the best in the world by creating the first black emoticons. This was in response to a 2-year-old controversy over the lack of diversity of emos. Emoticons have traditionally been yellow, which many think represents Western culture.
It took stars like Miley Cyrus to complain about a lack of racial diversity of web emoticons for someone to finally act. And it's an African organization that's taken up the challenge. Based in Mauritius, the app company Oju Africa has updated its set of emoticon characters to represent black people. As described by their creators, the cartoon-like characters are cheeky, very friendly, and represent a cool and trendy Africa. The creative director, Eseric Fouchier, says the company wanted to do something that only Africa could pull off. Something that could become so iconic that it would have the world talking. There have been over 16,000 downloads of the Afro Smileys, the majority of which have come from the United States.
Ethiopia has a population of 91 million people, but the internet reaches a mere 1% of the population. Still, the government considers it a threat. The arrest of bloggers there over the last week highlights the high political role social media now plays in the country.
6 bloggers and 3 journalists have been arrested in Ethiopia. They are accused of working with foreign organizations, rights activists, and using social media to destabilize the country. All the detained bloggers write for Zone 9, a 2-year-old platform that mainly criticizes the government. The blog focuses on human rights abuses and poor infrastructure in the East African nation. Although Ethiopia is defined as a democracy, there is plenty of criticism that the country lacks press freedom. The internet is providing a free and more liberal platform for uncensored information to be shared. Since the arrest of the bloggers, the Twitter hashtag FreeZone9Bloggers has been trending in Ethiopia. The arrested 9 remain behind bars.
Microsoft is set to launch the Xbox One in China. The launch comes after a 14-year ban of the gaming console that got lifted in the country. Gaming consoles were initially banned in China up until September 2013. The next insert tells us more details.
Chinese online gamers are ecstatic over news of the Xbox One launch in September. Gaming critics, however, say that this move will not be as profitable to Microsoft as expected. The tech behemoth remains keen on entering the Chinese market. They have done so by teaming up with the Shanghai-based entertainment company Best TV in a 790 million rand deal. Despite a breakthrough into the Chinese market, Microsoft still faces challenges in trying to convince gamers in the USA not to abandon consoles. It is reported that more gamers prefer the online gaming experience rather than that of consoles. Could this be the beginning of the end for gaming consoles?
It's SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter, News Network at sabc.co.za and email. After the break, we talk about the Meet South Africa's Blogger Conference. Join us after the break. We're still SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. Now, blogging is often referred to as an online diary, but there's nothing personal about it, as people who blog can have millions of readers. Now, imagine if your pictures and stories of travels were read by people all over the world, and traveling eventually made you a lot of cash. Lebosi Jaga tells us about travel blogging.
L'Afrique du Sud a beaucoup de choses à offrir à tout le monde.
I'm sure most of us dream of living a vacation kind of life. And I'm also certain that most of us would eat our hearts out upon finding out that there are some who actually live that dream. Who are the lucky lot I speak of, you ask? Well, I'm talking about travel bloggers. A group of bloggers from around the world and in South Africa are being hosted by Tourism SA to promote traveling within the country. Travel bloggers such as Melvin Boycher of TravelDudes.com and Rob Lloyd of StopHavingABoringLife.com are some of the chosen ones who will be partaking in the hashtag Meet South Africa campaign. This year marks the campaign's second leg. It will have the travelers venturing out to all corners of South Africa and blogging about it. It seems the vacation-like life dream isn't so far-fetched after all. If these bloggers can do it, maybe there's hope for the rest of us.
Now, joining us in the studio to talk about the Bloggers Conference is William Price. He is the Global Manager of Digital at South African Tourism. Hello, and thank you for being a part of our network.
Thanks for having me.
Now, what made you come up with the idea of a Bloggers Conference?
Well, the most important thing is that word-of-mouth marketing still is the most effective way of getting your message out there. The bloggers give us a unique opportunity for us to be able to work with them because of the fact that they have massive audiences. They also have different niches that they communicate through. So you'll have travel bloggers that specify communication around leisure travel, budget travel, adventure travel. These are very important audiences for us as South African Tourism, and working with bloggers means that we can get far better content that they give their users. So in other words, it's not us spoon-feeding, traditional branded material that normally marketers would do. We get them to experience the country and talk about their experiences in first person, sharing it with their audiences, and that's how we try and get more people to consider South Africa as a travel and a business destination.
Where are these bloggers from, William?
We've chosen them from all over the world. We've tried to overlap them as much as possible from the countries that we have our own offices in, because that's where really specific campaign work gets done in each of those markets. But overall, if there are certain bloggers that are coming out of emerging markets, for instance, we pay very careful attention to them as well. The most important thing for us is to try and get people who can be authentic in their voice to those audiences, because we don't want to be pushing our marketing messaging into that environment in a way that people go, wait a minute, this sounds too much like advertising.
Now, what happens at this bloggers conference?
The Bloggers Conference this year happens just before Indaba. Indaba is the largest travel trade show in Africa. We've been doing Indaba for many years. Getting the bloggers in to actually meet with the trade after they've had their experience in South Africa is a key opportunity for us to be able to get the trade to understand how this phenomenal power of blogging can actually help them to promote their business and to get people to see more of what they have to offer. So that's really why the bloggers are coming out. This year we want to try and focus the attention around the trade actually engaging directly with the bloggers. So it's far more informal, it's far more around networking, and it's far more about how they can engage those bloggers to actually get their marketing programs initiated.
Somebody else would have gone for traditional media.
Well, traditional media we don't ignore. We have to work with all forms of media. I think today any marketer, if they get the type of channel mix right to get their message to the right audience, that's really where the art and the science are intersecting. So for us, we never get to a place where we say it's digital or nothing. We really want to be able to use radio, print, above the line, and all the digital offers to be able to get our message to the right audiences at the right time.
Now, this is the second time you're hosting this bloggers conference.
That's correct.
What's different about this year as opposed to last year?
This year we've actually tried to loosen it up a little bit. Last year there was a lot of energy put in making sure that we tick all the right boxes, trying to get the right spread across the entire country, making sure that we get all the key experiences covered. This year we're really trying to work more closely with the bloggers and understand what's important to them and their audiences. We've really learned that sometimes we have to shut up and listen to understand what consumers are looking for and how we can react to that. So using the bloggers as an interface is a really great way for us to be able to learn how that audience operates and what's important to them.
Where are you taking them?
We've started. We're taking them all over the country. We really kicked off 2 days ago in Soweto. We started off at the Hector Peterson Museum, where we had an Insta walk where we invited the public in Joburg and Instagrammers to come and join us, and we did a walk through Soweto. We had phenomenal response from the community. We had amazing opportunities to be able to see how the bloggers engage with the actual experiences that Soweto has to offer them. So we're very excited about that being the first step. This morning we had them all do hot air ballooning with Bill Harper in Magaliesburg, and today they're all split up into 3 different itineraries covering culture and heritage, covering luxury and adventure.
Now, how do you track that somebody who is a blogger or somebody who's an Instagrammer is actually writing or blogging about the experiences they're going through, or they're just here for a free holiday?
Well, we obviously try and make sure that we work with bloggers that have good credibility in the audiences and in the marketplace. So we work with a company called iAmbassadors. They work with us in making sure that we find the right bloggers, and also in terms of how we measure their performance. All of that is very carefully looked at, and a hashtag is a very easy thing to be able to catch up on.
All right, William Price from South African Tourism, thank you very much for being a part of our network tonight.
Thanks so much.
Producer Lebusi Jage has been playing around with the LG G Flex. Let's see.
The slightly bent device turned out to be a pretty cool toy to play with for these past few days. The LG G Flex 6-inch slim curved display is one that attracts the eye at first sight. However, its low-resolution 720 progressive scan screen is rather disappointing. The reason behind its curvy structure is, according to LG, relevant, as the phone follows the curvature of your face and is meant to enhance the quality of voice calls by reducing the gap between the microphone and the user's mouth. The phablet's hardware buttons also differ from other phones. You can locate the unlock key and volume controls at the back just below the phone's camera. However, I was not too captured by the device's 13-megapixel camera, which lacks optical image stabilization, which I think takes not great but okay snapshots. The LG G Flex is an Android-operated phone containing the usual Android applications, including LG Smart World, which is more like Google's Play Store. Its huge size is a disadvantage if you don't have big enough pockets or a handbag to carry it in. It is overall a cool device to have if you are looking for a smartphone that you wouldn't easily lose. The phone is expected to retail at an estimated 10,000 rand and will be in South African stores by June.
It's SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. Let's take a short break. Yeah, well, there's nothing we can do. Welcome back. Remember, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. We are on SABC Network over there. Now, in an effort to give more South Africans internet access, the Universal Services and Access Agency of South Africa, or USASA, has created its own broadband program. USASA says its targets are people who live in rural areas. Joining me in the studio this evening is USASA CEO Zami Nkosi. Thank you for being a part of our network, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Now, why have you decided to create this program?
It's not my decision. It's a decision that was taken quite some time ago by the government after it is established that there are gaps that are existing in our country where most of our people, particularly in rural areas, do not have access to ICT services.
And now tell us about the areas that you've identified. You're mentioning that it's the rural areas, but you have started, haven't you?
We have started. We've started with two areas. One area in KZN called Msinga, and another area in the Eastern Cape called Emalahleni. Those two areas, the penetration levels were very, very low. Only 2G was existing there, which means people in those parts of the world were only accessing voice. They did not have access to data and other services. We then identified those areas and we went there and we brought them services. But basically what we do, we lay out the broadband backhaul infrastructure and connect those people so that they are then able to connect 3G and 4G.
So what do you do when you go there? Do you meet with community leaders? Do you consult with somebody? What's the process actually?
There is no way that we'll be able to go in any place and do our work without consulting stakeholders. Stakeholders make things very easy for us. They open doors for us. They tell us where the problems are, and they tell us who to consult with. And based on the information that we're getting from them, it becomes easy for us to be able to do our work. So definitely stakeholders are very key. We're talking stakeholders in the form of your civic associations, your municipalities, other government departments, and so on and so forth. They make it very easy for us to be able to do our work.
All right. And when you are going in, do you then provide the tools that they can use to access the internet, or do you just install your 4G or your 3G technology and then they'll see themselves whether they can use the tools or where they find the tools? Let's say like your computers, maybe your mobile phones, things like that.
Communication is like electricity. It's something that we cannot touch. It becomes very easy for us when we have laid the infrastructure for us then to be able to provide people with tools for them to see the services that we're offering to them. So indeed, yes, we do provide them with that. In the two areas that I've indicated, there's 3 schools that we've connected and we've given people tablets in those areas. We've also connected a hospital. We've also connected about 25 clinics only in Msinga area. And the same thing will be happening in Emalahleni as well. In the Msinga area, we've been moving much faster than we thought. We've got over 9 base stations connected now, and we still have 2 in Emalahleni area. But our service provider is working very hard to make sure that we cover the entire area in that place as well.
When you were going into those areas, how bad did you find the problem to be?
Part of the problem is that when we go to these areas, we are informed by a research that we have done. The research that we did last year indicated that there are 362 towns in South Africa that needs broadband rolled out in those areas. We also look at statistics as we get them from research companies, and we look at penetration levels. As I indicated earlier on, the penetration level in those areas was very low. In them single areas, we had a deficit of over 83%, which means only 17% of people in that area were able to access 2G.
All right. Zamingosi Yusasa CEO, thank you very much for joining us on Network tonight.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Now let's take a look at what's happening in social media. Today was the final day for South Africa's political parties to campaign for Wednesday's elections. The ruling African National Congress was in Johannesburg's FNB Stadium. On Twitter, the hashtags Siyanqoba and Siyanqoba Rally have been popular. Siyanqoba means we are winning. The official opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, has also been on the road as well. Their hashtag has been We Can Win. And the most popular new party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, took their last rally to Lucas Maripe Stadium. Their hashtag is Telatupa, and the rally was called the Telatupa Rally. Telatupa means crack the whip. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. We're on News Network at sabc.co.za and email. We leave you with a video of a bunch of Joburgers dancing to Pharrell Williams' Happy in various locations around the city. From me and the rest of the team, have a good one.
Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy, clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Yeah. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Yeah. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. Yeah. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high, bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high, bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want.